Afternoon and welcome. Yes, welcome indeed to a St. Patrick's Day edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast, as we're always broadcasting from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Yes, call them today. It's Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. I have Green on today. I'd help out with the downtown St. Patrick's Day Festival this morning. This guy is indoors, but I know he's going to some March Madness games later this week. He is Chris Graham, Augusta Free Press. Chris, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm not wearing green. I'm in violation. I need to be punished.
I got beads as well if you need some. See, I got even a Bears bead, all right?
You're ready, man. Yeah.
All right. It's that time of year again. You just went to the ACC tournament there in Charlotte. And then now, where are you going? Philadelphia? Where's the next stop for Chris?
Philadelphia. I will be there for Virginia versus Wright State. But also, that's where Central Florida is going to be playing Friday night. So, the way we do the tournament these days, you put different regions in the same little, the little host site. So I'll see some UCF and UCLA later in the day on Friday.
Yeah, that will be fun. All right, I need to know this, because Florida has to play at 9:25 Friday night. Even though they're the host 1 seed in Tampa, Miami football, as I like to call them, Miami Hurricanes, they're playing at 10:10 Eastern time. Do you at least have an afternoon game? Do you have that on the slate for you?
The Virginia game at 1:50 p.m. is the first game in Philly. And then they play straight through. Like at ACC tournaments, there are afternoon sessions, evening sessions. They give you a couple hours in between to go to the bathroom and eat dinner. But no, here they play at 1:50. I think it's 4:25, 7:25. So just a little bit of time between. And then UConn tips off at 10 o'clock or maybe 10:10.
Why?
That's just crazy.
And they're not going to start at 10:10.
No.
That's it. Oh, no. It'll be
all it takes is one instant replay review, and it's 10:30. So,
oh, yeah. All right. For someone who's never gone to an actual tournament game, and you've been going to them for a long time, what's it like actually being in the arena for all these basketball games?
It is very tense. I just finished up recording a podcast of my own where I was advising the folks listening in. Man, I tell you what, if you've never been in the arena for one, you go to ACC tournaments, your regular season games, even the biggest regular season games. If you lose, your season's not over. You go as soon as you're in an NCAA tournament venue, it's like, oh my God, and so when you talk about the pressure the players feel, as a fan, you feel it, and there's nothing like it. And I've been there for teams that I cover that have gone on to lose, and you feel that, and even when you win, you still don't even feel good because you're like, you're just shifting the pain to 2 days later. It's intense, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, because I'm sorry I have to bring this up. You were there in Orlando, Florida at the Kia Center when you saw the most insane upset of all time. What was that? Like 3 years ago? When was that?
3 years ago. Now, you say most insane upset of all time. Mark Moses, I was in the arena in Charlotte, North Carolina in 2018 for the very first 116 upset. Virginia, a 1 seed, the number 1 overall national seed, lost to a UMBC team, which was coached by Ryan Odom, who now coaches Virginia Small World. No, but yeah, in Orlando, what was insane about that was Virginia led by 12 with 8 minutes to go. I just read another story about this today to remind my UVA basketball fans who read me every day. Oh yeah, all these heartaches we've had. So up by 12, 8 minutes to go. Final minute, missed a 1-and-1, the front end of a 1-and-1, missed another front end of a 1-and-1. Bad pass to half court with like 3 seconds left. Furman steals it. Guy hits a 30-footer right in front of me. And I will never forget the sound, because if you've been in one of these arenas, and if you've not been, okay, I'll explain to you. If you've not been in one of these arenas with an NCAA tournament game, okay, so if you're there rooting for your team and your team is the higher seed, everybody else in the arena who doesn't care, they're just there to see NCAA tournament games. If they smell upset, if they can see the blood in the water, it's like, hey, I don't know where Furman's even located, but Furman might upset the number 4 seed. So all of a sudden, everybody else in the arena is rooting for Furman. And when that shot went through, that sound, I can still hear it in my ears. It was so loud.
What's interesting is it happens to a lot of people, fans, reporters, and this happened to you. All right, we're probably going to win 2 games this weekend, or at least play 2 games this weekend. And then you lose that first game, but you've already booked the hotel for multiple nights. Is that the worst feeling of it all?
I did it again. I booked my train back on Monday from Philly. So,
Oh yeah, you're expected 2 games. That's what you're thinking. Yeah.
I mean, you got a plan, right? So, you can weasel out of it, especially a train better than a plane. But no, it wasn't so bad in Orlando 3 years ago because I called my wife. Obviously, we were talking afterwards. She's like, "Do you want to come home?" And I said, "I just looked at the weather app, and it's like 30 degrees in Virginia, and it's 80 degrees here. I think I'll stay here for a couple more days."
Yeah. Okay. I met up with you on Saturday. And this was so funny because you think you're going to a game. You're like, well, I'm free. So we go to a restaurant, Harry Buffalo's on Church Street, across the street. Dude, it's not even there anymore. It closed down.
That's sad. Yeah.
Don't worry. That's every American city now. Hey, that place you like? Sorry, closed. That's what's going on. I like you're smart also from a travel standpoint, taking the train old school because every airport is screwed up right now. So you got to figure it out, buddy.
It's a 4.5-hour train ride from Central Virginia to Philadelphia. I'd be having to go through TSA for 4.5 hours just to get on the plane.
Yeah, I like this. This is going to be interesting for you. Here's my question. Overall, when I watch the bracket show Sunday night, and I always love watching it, I had no problem with who's in, who's out. I don't think there was any big controversy because they kept bringing up Auburn, who almost had 20 losses. I'm like, get them out of here. I was fine with the top 4 seeds. And how about you, Chris?
I did for ACC schools. I started around January 1st doing a bracketology update just to, get a feel for how our schools were going to do, because the ACC the last couple of years only had 4 schools in. So how get an outlook on things. And, I did my own bracketology where I would get, the tournament selection committee tells you what the 9 computer metrics are that they use to guide their thinking. And so I did, what I would do is just add up the 9 numbers, divide them by 9, and, whatever number it spat out, that would, you divide by 4, and that's your seed, right? So when I did that, I was pretty close. I actually thought the ACC got one more team in than they should have gotten. SMU got in as an 11 seed. They got in the first 4 game. I had them as second 4 out in my bracketology. So from an ACC fan standpoint, hey, I'm happy with 8 getting 8 instead of 7. No, from the overall perspective, Miami of Ohio should have gotten in, even though their metrics weren't great because nobody wants to play a MAC team if you're a Power 5 school. But they were 31-0 in the regular season, certainly deserved to be in over a 17-16 Auburn team. The top 4. I mean, really, the top 4, the 4 number 1 seeds. Outside of 1 and 2, I think that you could have gone any direction between numbers 3 and 8, so to speak. The 4 number 2 seeds, but no, this is going to be a good tournament. There's a lot of teams that can win it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Where the SEC, I was a little shocked they got 10. I watched them all season, but they had the most of any conference. So it was 10, ACC 8, Big 10, and Big 12. Everyone had 8. SEC had 10. It was just kind of interesting. No controversy. The only one I could see is the New York media yelling about St. John's, right? And I kind of understand where they're coming from, where they won the regular season and the conference tournament, but UConn is still a higher seed. Is that just because they're a blue blood and they've won more national titles? Is that what it is?
And their metrics were very similar too. I try to take the emotion out when I do my stuff and look at the numbers. And, in the net, for example, UConn was 11 and St. John's was 17. So to go from one being a 2 seed and the other being a 5 seed, and the 5 seed won the regular season, won the tournament, beat UConn in the tournament by 20. Now, yeah, UConn beat St. John's pretty handily in a regular season game, but I mean, comparable records. So there's no argument there. I mean, it's maybe not so much that one should be seated higher than the other, but the discrepancy between one being a 2 seed and one being a 5 seed. And, that 5-12 game is always one, the reason the lore of the 5-12 game is out there is the top mid-major conference champions who had to earn their way into the field by winning their tournament. The top ones of those are the 12 seeds. And so, you got the very best teams that did, that had to earn their way in and play tough games all the way through, and they're battle tested. And so getting put in that 5-12 game, that's not good. I mean, you don't like that. So, but I'm also a guy who's covered us, the program that I covered, Virginia, two of the last 3 times they've been in the tournament, they've been a 4 seed and lost. So and they've been a 1 seed and lost. So I know that at some point, once they, put a number beside you, you got to go out and play the games. And if maybe for Rick Pitino, this gives St. John's, it puts a little chip on their shoulder. Hey, they disrespected you. That's something to put on the bulletin board.
We're with Chris Graham, Augusta Free Press. Wait, another team lost as a 1 seed. Was it Purdue?
Purdue lost in 2023. That's what made my trip to Orlando wasn't so bad. I got to sit there and watch Purdue become the second number 1 to lose. So that took some of the sting out of it for me. Yeah.
Didn't Purdue, though, then the next year get to the national title game? I swear.
Well,
see, I know these.
They got to and lost the national title game. Virginia in 2019, after losing to UMBC, got to the national title game and won. So, the 2 teams who were 1 seeds and lost both went all the way. Just the Purdue came up short to a really good UConn team.
All right. I love Cinderellas. I love the upsets. But at the same time, I think we have a lot of like big boy contenders, and they've been great this whole year. I like Florida. I don't know if I love them just yet. They have to prove it to me. I don't think they're as strong as last year's team. Look, you've seen Duke play. They're the number 1 overall seed. I like Michigan. I saw Arizona play in person. They are nasty and big. Do you feel like, as a guy that covers college basketball, we got some big boy contenders this year?
We do. We've got, I haven't done my pour through Ken Palm to like I normally do this time of year quite yet. We got a couple of days before the main rounds start. But I feel like just from looking at it, 12 to 15 teams that can legitimately win this championship. I cover the ECC, so I'll tell you about Duke. What's different about this Duke team, they haven't won a national title since 2015. They've had talent every year.
Boo-hoo!
Yeah.
Haven't won.
But the problem that Coach K had towards the end of his tenure and that John Shire had, for the first few years of his tenure is you get all that talent, but you've got them only for the 1 year. And of course, a lot of, in the NIL / revenue sharing era, a lot of schools have talent for just 1 year now. But his talent is unlike, say, Virginia is a school that has a lot of guys. I mean, Ryan Odom, the new coach, first-year coach of Virginia, put his roster together last April. So all those guys are new, but they're older guys. There are a lot of juniors and seniors, whereas Coach K and John Shire's guys are all 17 and 18-year-olds. What they weren't able to do since 2015, both Coach K and John Shire, was to get that team to play, to get their teams to play defense. This team plays defense. They're number 1 in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency, and it's not a fluke. They really, when they want to take a guy out of a game, they take a guy out of a game. And they're also top 5 in the country offensive efficiency. But I think what's going to be important for this team, even opposed to last year's team, Cooper Flagg, star player, great NBA guys, an 18, 19-year-old. But they didn't play defense the way this team plays defense. And defense wins this time of year. So this Duke team, now they played the ACC tournament without 2 of their starters, still ended up winning. The 2 starters who didn't play aren't key guys for that team. But their depth would be an issue. They're still going to be without Caleb Foster, their point guard, maybe for the whole tournament. If he comes back, it would maybe be the Final Four weekend. But I still like Duke to win a few games at least and put themselves in a position just because of their defense.
You understand that the Gators, there's a scheduling thing here where if they get to a regional final, it'll be in Houston, probably against the Houston Cougars. Yeah. How did that work? How? Who put that together? Because it's going to happen now. We're on the course.
Somebody made a point, maybe it was one of the tournament selection committee people, that there was a similar situation where there was a number 1 seed that had to play Purdue and Indianapolis last year, or one of those things last year. So, yes, it's just, at some point, you can't penalize Houston for being good. You put them as number 2 seed somewhere. They deserve to be the number, and you throw them there. It's just another challenge to overcome for this Florida team. And, that's why the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee, puts in a premium on true road wins. I haven't looked at Florida's resume. I assume they have quite a few of those this year, though, to be a number 1 seed. And so, and it won't be the hostile environment that it would be in a regular season game because it won't be a total home crowd. I mean, there'll be plenty of Florida people there as opposed to what you would see in a regular season game. And my experience with even, Virginia played in 2019. They had to play Purdue in the regional final that year, and it was like an hour away from Purdue's campus, and that place was there was a lot of Purdue fans there that afternoon.
As there should be, buddy. There should. I get it.
Yeah, and still though, it's not like playing. It's not like playing against a 100% road crowd. So, go out and win the game, and it's just something else to tip your cap to you. Right. Another feather in the cap.
All right. Who do you like for the title game? What do you got?
I'm biased, so I don't even know if I want to say, because when Virginia is actually, 2 years ago they were in the first four. They had no chance. They barely got in the tournament. I like my Virginia team this year, and I will say that Clark Kellogg put a curse on my Virginia team when he said, I like this team to win their Midwest region and go to Final Four. It's like, come on, dude. I like my team to be plucky and underdog, but I'm a little biased in that sense. I've not seen everybody play to the level that I would like to as an analyst. I saw the Duke Michigan game, and I was impressed with both teams. I know a lot of people said, "Oh, that game was boring. It was 68-63. Nobody could make shots." It's because they play defense, and that's what wins championships. And so, my bias is towards good defensive teams. I gotta like Duke and Michigan in their brackets. I got to disqualify myself from the Virginia Midwest bracket because, from that standpoint. But no, I'm just going to leave it at, there's a lot of good teams. I don't know what upsets I foresee coming. In this era, though, I'll just say with NIL and the revenue sharing kind of throwing talent out, it is more dispersed than it's been in years past. But also, Mark, there's another factor here. I looked at, for example, the Wright State roster when I was, looking at the UVA Wright State game, and I'm saying, some of these games for these mid majors, I almost wouldn't want to play if I were their coaches, because these are opportunities for other coaches and Power 5 coaches to say, hey, man, that guy scored 20 points against us. I want him to come play for us next year.
Great point. That's like in spring football for college football. They don't want to play spring games because they don't want to show off their players to anyone. It's fantastic.
Every year. So in November and December, when, you play your home team that you cover plays those guarantee games, as they call them. I'm watching the guarantee games. There's one guy on that roster that might play in a Power 5 next year. Let's see which one it is today. Yeah. And the last couple of years I've done that, every one of those guys has played at the next level. So, this is the ultimate meat market right now.
I started laughing I apologize, because you had this look on your face. You're like, all right, how do I answer this without being a super homer towards the team I cover?
Yeah.
Let me think about this for a while. No, you're fine, dude. Let's end with this then. All right. If Kansas basketball calls you up and you're a coach, because there's a part of me thinks this might happen to Todd Golden at Florida.
Okay.
If Kansas calls you up and it's like, look, we want you to be the coach. Here's a blank check. Is that the 2 or 3 jobs in America where you're like, all right, I have to go be the coach of Kansas now?
It's funny. A good buddy of mine who's a Florida alum, a local friend of mine from Virginia, was in town this weekend, and we had this very discussion. And he's lamenting the idea that, why would Todd Golden leave? It's a better job. And there are a few jobs in sports that are iconic. If they call you, you got to at least listen. LSU football, Notre Dame football, Duke basketball, Carolina basketball, yes. New York Yankees, Dallas Cowboys. I'm probably leaving somebody out, but not many. Kansas would be on that list. It's, Fogg Fieldhouse. It's where the game was invented, right? So, but you have to, if you're Todd Golden and you've won a national championship, you're a number 1 seed again this year. Florida's got a lot of money. They're an SEC school. They probably got a good bit more money than, Kansas could bring to bear. So you wouldn't be leaving for more money for yourself. I can't imagine that Florida wouldn't at least match the offer. You would be and you wouldn't be leaving for more NIL money or revenue sharing money, because Florida's going to match that or exceed that. So you'd be leaving for the potential to be the Kansas coach and have a legacy. And I don't know in this day and age, Mark, if that's enough to pull me in.
Florida's a football school, and it always will be. Even though, look, if you take a step back and breathe, Florida keeps winning national titles in these other sports, but it's a football. Kansas is a basketball, blue blood, elite superstar type team where everything will be about you. Everything. You're the coach there. You need to win. It's a great point. All right.
I'll tell you, my buddy, the Florida alum, told me that he's more concerned, and his fellow alums are more concerned that Steve Kerr, whenever he eventually steps down in Golden State, that Todd Golden might go back home for him. He came from San Francisco to Florida, and
the NBA.
Yeah, the chance to go to the NBA for a championship franchise there with the lure and that big, couple $1 billion arena in the San Francisco, Oakland area might be a bigger lure than Kansas would be.
But the problem is you're not getting the 2015 roster. You're getting this trash roster now where they're going to have to rebuild. Like you're Tim Floyd taking over the Bulls after Michael Jordan is there. Like, it's not this. See, this I brought up with someone else yesterday. Do you think Hurley made the right decision staying at UConn and passing up the LA Lakers job?
No, I don't think so at all. I would want, if I were one of those guys, if I'm, Dan Hurley or Todd Golden or anybody at that level, and Coach K did this 20 years ago. Kobe Bryant wanted Coach K to be his coach, and Coach K actually briefly accepted the job before changing his mind and staying at Duke. I think it was in 2004. This was. If I'm one of those guys, I want to see if I can do it. I mean, the worst thing that happens is I can't, but I want to see if I can win an NBA championship. I want to see if I can coach the guys at that level. And your opportunities are probably few and far between to get an offer, and not just any job. Don't just let me be the, Minnesota, no offense to any of these other, Minnesota Timberwolves or Indiana Pacers. The Lakers call. If the Lakers or Celtics are calling me, I'm listening, and I'm listening real hard.
Yeah, the problem, I think, with the Lakers thing was you had to deal with LeBron. And then they're like, we're drafting my son. And then, no. But you're like, oh, go on.
You would have had Doncic fall in your lap.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. If I get Luka Doncic and I get to build a roster around Luka and LeBron leaves, yeah, I'm the new Pat Riley. Sorry, UConn. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm going to be the Lakers coach. Are we going to have the slick back hair like Pat Riley? That's the question.
I would go for it. I'd wear the nicest suits, and I would drive around in a convertible sports car. I mean, heck yeah, why not?
Heck yeah, we would. Chris Graham, thank you so much for coming on. I know we'll get you on again during the tournament, and have fun there in Philadelphia. All right.
Thanks, Mark.